Alrighty, guys. What's going on, everybody? Welcome. Back to here another live stream. Hope everyone's doing good. So, well, we got ourselves a bit of updates for y'all regarding the tropical cyclone that we've been monitoring here for the last little bit here. We do got some new updates for you guys regarding the models and stuff like that. I was going to do a normal live stream on our platform, but I just kind of wanted to get this update out there really quickly for you guys, and didn't really have the time to put the thumbnail together. I just wanted to go ahead and, get everything together here. But anyways, folks, yeah, like I said, hope you guys are doing good. Glad to have you here. What's up, Jacob? Hope you're doing good, man. What's up, Christy? What's up, Max? What's up, guys? Hope y'all are doing good. So we do got a bit of a different trend in the models. Here, we're going to go and hop over here to the models. What's up, Weather? Hope you're doing good, man. Jacob, I'm good, man. Thanks for asking. Appreciate it. So we got a bit of a new trend going on here with the latest model runs. What's up, Kim? So as you guys were probably aware, since we did our live stream this morning, this was the previous run that we had, showing the storm activity going up there towards like the Eastern Gulf for the most part. And now the latest guidance, if we go to the 12 Zulu, so this was after our morning live stream, you can see that it was still showing the same thing, right? So it's still showing that Eastern Gulf potential impact here. This is for like the 26th. So we'll continue to watch that. Now, the latest 18 Zulu, let's just say it's a lot different than what the previous GFS runs have been showing us. So first of all, the storm's going to start gaining traction out there towards like the Western Caribbean overall. So what's essentially going to happen is we are going to see that system working its way up here to the north overall. And whenever it comes to it, well, first of all, you can actually see that, no, the latest GFS doesn't show it in the far eastern. As a matter of fact, it actually shows the system going to the western part here of the Gulf, which is certainly interesting. Overall, oh my gosh, dude, my Discord is blowing up. Let's see here. Oh, never mind. Anyways, but yeah, I mean, like I said, it's the latest run. Now, first of all, let me go ahead and say that this is likely going to be changing continuously for the next several days. So this is not set in stone quite yet. But yeah, you can see according to the latest GFS here, the 18 Zulu, we got like a 934 low. A big difference from the 12 Zulu. I want to show you guys something too. It's not just the GFS; it's also like the CMC model too, that's showing this potential. As you can see, the latest CMC also not as far, obviously not as far. The GFS has it going like over here, but the CMC has indeed pushed a little bit to the west. So that is the latest trend here. Now the thing is that around the time of the system, we're going to be having a cold front. And this cold front, determining where it's at, how strong it is, will heavily influence the storm. So, for example, say the storm is slower than the cold front. That would likely lead to a more easterly track. However, if the cold front takes a while to progress, and say the storm goes into the Gulf, we're probably going to have a more of a westerly track. And it seems like the latest models are kind of pinpointing on the fact that the cold front's going to be happening late in the storm's cycle. Therefore, that's why we've been seeing this western, this western track here. Now, when it comes to this frontal boundary, there's also a couple things that could be a factor at play. Since we are still several days away, this is likely going to change, but there is a possibility with this here overall that determining, what happens, the timing and stuff like that, there could be some dry air that could get into it, maybe some increased wind shear overall. But like I mentioned, it really depends. There's so many factors that we don't know. I mean, the point of the storm actually starting to develop is going to be here for the 23rd, which is still, like 5 days away. So there's absolutely going to be more changes in the models. And like I said, nothing is guaranteed right now. Nothing is guaranteed overall. Let's see, it's a very slow cold front. Yeah, like I said, it seems like that cold front's been slowing down according to the latest model runs. Therefore, allowing that storm to probably dig further into the Gulf versus, like I said, if that cold front comes early, that will steer the storm likely more towards the east, which we'll definitely we'll definitely see here. But like I mentioned, the point of time here. So we're right around this time frame. Actually, hold on a minute. Let's hop over to, there we go. So we're right around this point in time here. So between now and several days down the line until we approach like the 22nd, 23rd, that's whenever you start to notice the storm actually starting to pick up some strength. And then as we work our way over there towards the 24th, potentially it'll be, just kind of between the Yucatan Peninsula and Cuba, potentially overall. And then, of course, as we work our way into the 25th, that's when it really kind of goes into the Gulf here, and then impact will probably be sometime around the 26th. So like I mentioned, there still is some things that could easily change here. Here's the latest GFS, like I said, showing that far westerly track too. Yeah, definitely happening a lot, or before that cold front really kind of rolls through here. Let's see here. Let me look at some of these comments. Christy, thank you for that. Appreciate it. Would it cause it to climb up the East Coast? As of now, like I said, nothing can be really ruled out right now, but I'd say it's unlikely at this point that the thing would go up the East Coast. But like I said, we really don't know. We really don't know as of now. Like I mentioned, this latest model data has really pushed this thing far to the west. I mean, like I said, the previous run, look how much different it is. I mean, you can actually see here the GFS shows, the system out there towards Florida, while the new model has it way to the west. So there's obviously a lot of changes still going on here in the model. So that is for sure. That is absolutely for sure. Let's see. But, like I mentioned, there's really no way of 100% sure if this thing is going to, basically go up the East Coast. Like I said, as of now, I'd say it's unlikely, but we'll see. Southeastern Alabama in trouble. So, like I mentioned right now, we can't really pinpoint where this thing's making landfall, but I would say if you live in, like, coastal Alabama towards Mobile, I would watch it. I mean, really, I want the whole Gulf Coast alert right now. For my folks who literally live from, coastal Texas all the way to coastal Florida. I do want you guys to be watching this closely. As of right now, like I said, literally anything's up for grabs. So, the entire Gulf Coast, I mean, somewhere along the Gulf Coast could get impacted by the storm. Like I said, there's just such a broad range of possibilities at this point in time, since we're still so far away, and the models are gonna take a little bit to kind of get their act together per se. It will likely not come to Oklahoma City, no, Jacob. You're good. Plus you're inland. Even if the storm did go over there, it would be nothing but remnants at that point. You're welcome, Amanda, no problem. Let's see here. Chrissy says thanks for the update. You're very welcome. No problem. Let's see. Pixel says thanks. No problem, man. Glad to help out. Let's see. Roy, no. The storm is not going to Abilene. I mean, like I mentioned, it's we don't really know. Like I said, we really don't know where that landfall point is going to be. And like I mentioned, obviously Abilene's far inland, so the impacts would be very little if we even did have anything. Travel says just sub to your channel. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Much appreciated. Thank you for your support. It says, will the cold front cool down the temperature in South Texas? Well, yeah, I mean, cold front activity, let's actually look at that real quickly. Let's hop to the South Central. We'll do 2-meter temperature anomalies. So as we get to the points, you can see that there is going to be probably a little bit of cooling throughout Texas. So the blue is basically indicating cooler than normal temperatures for this time period, which is, this is 2 p.m. on the 26th, showing, Central Texas being, several degrees cooler than normal. Meanwhile, the Midwest is a little bit warmer than typically average. But yeah, I mean, there certainly is a bit of cooler temperatures to come for you guys, more than likely. But for now, it's mostly going to be still hot overall. Let's see here. Will the hurricane come to Alexander City, Alabama? Like I said, we can't really pinpoint where this landfall is going to take place quite yet. We really can't do that. Now, like I mentioned, I do want you guys along the Gulf Coast to seriously watch this. There's no reason for panic. Like I said, don't worry about the storm. Try not to worry about it. Like I said, there's still a lot we don't know. There still is a heck of a lot we don't know, regarding the track, regarding, where the thing's going, and the intensity, how strong it's going to be. We really don't know quite yet. But what we do know is that, yes, the models have been talking about this tropical system for days at this point. So the storm, is it likely to happen? Yes, it is likely going to happen. But like I mentioned, we just don't know where. So the chances, of this thing becoming an impactful storm is a growing concern. Now, like I mentioned, once again, where? That is the big question. That is the really big question right now that we need to kind of figure out. Thank you, Aviation. Appreciate that, man. Thanks for subscribing. Thank you, guys. Seriously, means a lot. Talked to a buddy in Texas. He said it was 92. Yeah, it's a little warm. It was about like that here in Florida. It was, 92 and pretty humid out. What's up, Ohio? Pretty good, man. So the whole Gulf Coast is under a concern for the story. Yeah, I mean, obviously, when it comes to the point, not the entire Gulf Coast is going to be impacted. More than likely not. However, I do want the Gulf Coast on standby, and I want you guys on alert because, like I mentioned, the possibilities are endless at this point. We had, majority of the models kind of showing it going up, towards the Eastern Gulf, and now the latest trend actually has it going much further to the west. So the blue is the new trend, having it going further to the west, and the pink here, this was the previous trend. So there's big changes, and this is what's going to happen for the next couple days, is that the models are going to be all over the place. I'm going to go ahead and say that now. You're going to have probably some days where the models trend heavily east, and you have some days trending far to the west. It's not really until we get to like roughly 5 days out, for the most part, until we kind of understand the general area of where the storm might impact. Obviously, this, like I said, we're expecting impacts somewhere around the 26th. That's still not even certain. But somewhere, that's kind of what the models were been talking about. Now, with that being said, I mean, obviously, that's a good 8 days away. I mean, that's still a while away, man. So at least for the next, probably 3-4 days overall, the uncertainty is going to be quite high. So we'll watch out for that. What's up, Ponderosa? Welcome. Got hit by a barrel in July. It's Cat 1. Yeah, it hit Texas, didn't it? My uncle lives in the Gulf. Okay, well, tell him to monitor it. Like I mentioned, there's no reason for worries or panic right now, guys. Like I said, there's no reason to be buying out the groceries at the store or anything like that. No, it's not that. It's like I mentioned, it is concerning. Yes, it is a concerning thing. But once again, like I said, there's still so much we don't know about the storm. That's the unknown factor is huge at this point. Let's actually look at some of these other models. We actually have ensembles, which is basically one model with a bunch of members, we call them. So basically like a bunch of little model runs inside of one big model. So let's look at the GEFS, and we're going to pull up the, let's see, the Ensemble member MSLP. So this is basically pressure. And so what you're going to see is one model with a bunch of collective little members, we call them. So the latest guidance, so you can see that we have ourselves this big area of low pressure that develops here. This is for like the 24th, 25th. And you see that there's these little polka dots, right? You see there's a bunch of these little dots here. So these are those members I was telling you guys about. So for example, one of the members has this thing, going over this, going over right here. One of the members has it going over here. One of the members even has it somehow going over here. But you can see the majority of the orange. That is basically where the majority of those members agree on where this storm's going to be for this point in time. So we work our way down in time. Now with the latest guidance, you can see how we really start to split off here once we get to the Gulf. That is where a lot of the uncertainty is. As you can tell, there's a couple of those members showing it going near Florida. There's a member, showing it going into the Western Gulf. And then there's another one out there towards like Mississippi, Alabama. Mississippi, Louisiana. So, like I mentioned, it's certainly, pretty broad. It's a pretty broad spectrum right now in terms of, where this thing is going to go. So we'll definitely need to watch out for that. Let's see here. Michael says, I live in Denver. Should I panic? Yeah, no, nobody should panic. Even if you live on the Gulf, there's no reason to be worried right now because there's just so much going on. Just so much going on. Christy, thank you so much for the $10. I appreciate that. That is really sweet of you, saying signing off. I need to go pack. Thanks for the update area. The best weather updates come from Andrew. Stay prepared, everybody. Thank you so much, Christy. That's really nice of you. Thank you so much for the 10. Big shout out goes out to you. Thank you so much, Christy. That's very generous, very sweet of you. Thank you so much. So yeah, that's what this member or these members show us. Now let's look at some other ones. So we got that was a GEFS. We have the GEPS members here now. Same concept, like I said, one model, a bunch of members, and as we work our way over here to the 24th, basically here for the afternoon of the 24th, you can see, like I mentioned, that big orange blob there. That's where the majority of the members have this hurricane going, or this tropical system going. So, and then like I mentioned, we work our way further down in time. Now, here's the thing: the latest guidance from this model. This is like the latest run we got. Still shows most of the members having that system somewhere in the Eastern Gulf, near Florida, potentially. And of course, like I mentioned, there is still obviously a couple members that have it going to the west. But, like I mentioned, the majority of these members in this model kind of shows it near Florida, but nothing's guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed at this point in time. So, like I mentioned, we'll just have to be watching this closely for the next several days. What will be the next name? Helene. Helene will be the next name. So actually, a little bit of a fun fact for you guys. So Helene, we were actually expecting to be the storm that impacted the Carolinas the other day. It never developed into a named storm. So therefore, Helene's going to be this next one. Speaking of, here, let me pan down just a little bit. I don't know if you guys can see this very well. Here, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. Let me, first of all, move this over here, and then we're going to overlay this here. Okay, so this is the latest Hurricane Center outlook here. So they actually did obviously introduce an area here. They have it at 30% now. So this morning when we did our update, the overall formation chance throughout the next 7 days, you can see tropical development chance, 7 days. They have this thing at a 30% chance of development. Now you might say, well, that's pretty low. Yes, it's low, but that probability is going to increase. That's basically a certain at this point. That probability is going to increase, as we get closer and closer to the event. Like I mentioned, all the models show this system happening. Therefore, the confidence of this thing being existent is very high. Very high at this point. It's almost safe to say, yes, the storm will happen. But to what magnitude, what strength, what track, That's what we don't know. But yeah, so overall, the Hurricane Center has a 30% chance. Pretty low probability right now, but like I mentioned, that's going to go up. Now, you might have noticed the 0% over the 2-day marker. Obviously, we're not expecting this thing to do anything in the next 2 days. Like we were mentioning, the traction with the models, the system really doesn't start to kind of, happen. Doesn't start to gain traction and, activity until roughly around the 22nd or 23rd, which, like I said, that's still like, what, 4 days away? That's still quite a few days away. So we're still days off from the storm starting to occur, and until then, we're just going to be pretty quiet. But then, like I mentioned, once we work our way into the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, as it kind of rolls into the Western Caribbean here, that is when the storm is likely going to start, doing some things. And then, of course, as we work our way into the 25th and 26th, that's whenever the storm's going to be tracking out there into the Gulf. So yeah, that's kind of the timing and everything like that. So that's where she's going to be. So Sean, we don't really know, like I said, right now exactly where it's going to end up. Like I mentioned, the latest models that we're looking at here really show a huge westerly movement in the system overall. Previously, for the last day or so, the models, not just GFS, but other models like CMC, you had like the GEPS, GEFS, a lot of those models were showing the storm out there along the eastern side here of the Gulf. And then, like I said, with the new wave of models that just came through a little bit ago, obviously we have a huge push to the west, especially with GFS. Really showing a big storm potentially brewing in the west. Like I mentioned, this is not final. This is not final. And is it likely going to change again? Absolutely. Absolutely. The track is going to be all over. I'm going to tell you that now. The track, these models are going to be all over the place for the next several days. And like I mentioned, I think we'll start to gain more better idea of, where the storm's going to be, or where it's going to end up, I should say, in stuff like that. I think we'll learn more about that probably towards like the 23rd, roughly. Once that storm starts to develop, that's when we're going to really start to learn a lot more about the system, because at that point, a couple days later, we'll bring it into the Gulf, and then, of course, monitoring the progression of that storm at the time being. Let's see. Please wait until the 23rd. Well, the 23rd, Court, that's whenever the storm's going to start to kind of pick up. It's going to be roughly around the 22nd or 23rd. Like I said, it's going to start developing in the Western Caribbean. Then it's going to track its way somewhere in the Gulf, more than likely. So yeah, the 23rd is when the thing starts. And like I mentioned, the time of impact, we don't know, of course, which is really interesting. Yeah, the model, the latest GFS shows impacts on like the 28th. The previous models have been going towards like maybe the 26th with impacts, but once again, we can't guarantee anything right now. That's basically what it boils down to. Do I have anything on October 1st? October 1st is still basically a half a month away. So the uncertainty is extremely high that far out. I really can't tell you. Yeah, I mean, models are not that good. They're not that good. Maybe someday they will, but for now, they're not that good at going that far out. Like I mentioned, I don't like going really any more than 5 days, and I might be wondering, well, hey, this storm's 5 days out, more than 5 days out. Yeah, you're right. But there's been so much agreement, though, about this system. All of the models suggest it, and they've been suggesting it for days. Now, there is some exceptions. If you see that kind of pattern happening sometimes in weather, then yeah, you can trust the models a little further out. And that's kind of where we're standing now. But we're still in the long range away, from the heavy impacts there. You're welcome, Daily, no problem. see, Miami says most hurricane activity peaks in Florida, mid-August, mid-October. Yeah, so actually we just hit the peak hurricane season. That was in the second week of September. We're kind of at the peak of the ladder right now. From here on out, it's going to be going down, but we still have several months of hurricane season left. I have a West Caribbean cruise, the 23rd to the 28th. That's going to impact. Oh, okay. So, depends on where you're going, of course. The models, like I mentioned, show the storm starting to kind of brew, starting to kind of kick up here, probably between the 22nd and the 24th. Somewhere around that time is when that storm's going to start brewing. Now, you said the 23rd. It depends on where you're going to be at that point in time. Now, even after the storm kind of rolls away, there still definitely could be some choppy waters. So, we can't rule out your boat rocking quite a bit. That's a possibility. Because, the water, these storms can really get those waves going. And it takes a little bit for those waves to kind of calm back down. So, it could be a thing. Okay, Cozumel. Yeah, Cozumel. So, obviously, I believe that's out there in the eastern Yucatan. That's kind of where the models are, having that storm, just being just off the Yucatan Peninsula here. Therefore, the, right around the 24th. Just figure out what day you are going to be in Cozumel, and the day you're going to be at sea, and that'll determine that. But just know the storm's going to be starting to kick off probably around the 23rd and 24th, and that's when it's going to be somewhere, like I said, in the western, the Western Caribbean. And then, of course, we work our way into like the 25th, maybe the 26th, and so on, and that's when it's going to be into the Gulf. Okay? You're welcome. No problem, man. Yeah, like I said, I'm glad to help out, of course. And, once again, if you guys have any questions about this, feel free to throw them down in the chat. I'm here for you guys. We're going to be giving you all weather updates here. And, if there's anything nasty going on, we'll talk about it. Like I said, we're here for you. And once again, there's no reason to panic. I understand that, this is a little nerve-wracking, in which I get it. It's a little concerning, of course. But, like I mentioned many times, there is still just a lot that we do not understand about this system. Like I mentioned, there's just so much right now that we still need to learn, about the storm system here overall. Now, whenever it comes to it, let's see here. So whenever it comes to it, like I mentioned, I really do want the Gulf Coast to be, on the lookout, no specific area to be for sure right now. But just, if you live along the Gulf Coast, just monitor it, just monitor it overall. Michael, dude, thank you so much, man, for the $2. I appreciate that. Big shout out goes to you, Michael. Thank you, man, for your support. That is very generous, very sweet of you, man. Thank you so much. Let's see, love from Jamaica. Thank you, appreciate it. Hope you're doing good down there. Let's see. Just getting on here. I hope that it didn't miss a lot, or hope I didn't miss a lot. I'm in the Gulf Coast of Mississippi. Gotcha. So, Whitney, I do want you to monitor the storm too. Like I said, we don't know if it's going to come towards you or not quite yet. But, once again, the latest guidance with the models, and like I said, this is going to be doing this for the next several days. We're going to be trending east. We're going to be trending west for the next, several days. And once we get, roughly 4 days out or so, that's when we can start to kind of narrow down where the storm's going to end up overall. So, yeah. But, like we mentioned here, we'll go ahead and hop back to the previous runs of the GFS. Like I said, this is from earlier this morning. And the GFS showing that system, in the Eastern Gulf there, probably impacting areas near Florida. That was as of this morning. The afternoon GFS came through showing the same thing. And then, like I mentioned, now the GFS is showing a huge difference in both strength and traction, showing the storm going way further to the west here. So, you know, we're going to be doing this, man. It's going to be a big dance for the next couple days. You know, we're going to have the models trending eastward likely again at some point. Then they're probably going to trend again to the west. And, you know, we'll be kind of hopping back and forth probably for the next couple of days or so. So we'll keep on watching it. You know, like I said, obviously as we get closer to the event, and as we start to get closer towards like the 25th and 26th roughly, that is when we're going to have obviously a much better understanding of what we can expect overall out of that storm. What's up, Rosie? Hope you're doing good. Glad to have you here. Let's see. I'm going home East Coast, Florida, October 3rd. Gotcha. Like I said, out that far, we really can't track. And this storm would be over by the time we get to October 3rd. The storm's supposed to be named, the name I'm meaning, retired. Oh, what, Helene? Retired? Well, like I mentioned, you know, the other storm that impacted the Carolinas was supposed to be Helene. This one is, like I said, obviously that didn't turn out to be the case. This next one here that we're monitoring is going to be Helene. Let's see. So this can be way off. Absolutely. Absolutely. And like I mentioned, you know, we are still very unsure of landfall intensity, you know, guidance, you know, regarding the track and everything like that. And like I mentioned many times, you know, that's why I just want the Gulf Coast to be on alert. You know, nobody should be panicking. No reason to freak out over this, guys. Seriously, I get it. It's concerning. It is. I mean, we're in hurricane season. Stuff like this happens. There's no reason to be, you know, freaked out about the storm right now, you know, because, you know, it could impact areas. Hypothetically, it could impact Florida or it could impact Texas. You know, like I said, we don't know. That's kind of what it comes down to. You know, we really don't know the track of this thing. Also, the intensity, too, is still all over the place. And then, like I mentioned, you know, as we get closer to the event, that's whenever we're going to start to learn more overall. Okay, so here's what we're going to do, guys. We're going to go ahead and pull up another model, the one that we have not looked at tonight. We're going to look at the Canadian long range here, which is the GDPS model. So let's go ahead and bring up our GDPS model here. Let's go ahead and remove that. Let's see, we're going to hop down to the southeastern U.S. That should cover. I haven't seen this latest run, so we're kind of looking at this together, guys. 12 Zulu of the Canadian model shows, look at that, maybe a little bit more of a westerly movement too. You know, it seems like that's what the latest trend is, you know, not just with the GFS, you know, but also models like the CMC and now the GDPS, you know, showing obviously a pretty far westwardly movement there. You know, you can actually see that. Let's look at the previous run from like late yesterday of this model, which the okay, a little bit more to the east, you know, kind of out there towards like the Big Bend of Florida. This was yesterday evening's model run, and then this was kind of this morning, this afternoon's model run here. Yeah, obviously a little bit more to the west there. And of course, like I said, we already looked at GFS. We already know what the GFS shows us. You know, the 12 Zulu from earlier, still showing that storm somewhere along the eastern coast. And then, of course, with the 18 Zulu, the crazy run, I'll call it. The crazy model run shows it way more to the west here. You know, way more. Let's see. Send the rain to Indiana. We need it badly. Well, I mean, I would if I could, but unfortunately, I don't really have control of that in terms of where rain happens and where it doesn't. See, Tennessee needs some rain. Yeah, I hear you. Let's see. Especially East Tennessee, Francine was supposed to give us a couple of inches. Gotcha. But anyways, you know, like I mentioned, you know, that's kind of, you know, where we're standing now. You know, there's just no, what it really sums up to, guys, is the fact that we don't know. I mean, that's it. What we do know is that there will likely be this system. You know, this system's existence is very likely at this point. You know, all the models have been talking about it for literally days at this point. Is the storm going to happen? Yeah, it's safe to say that the storm is going to happen. It's going to do something. It's going to do something. What we don't know, where and how strong. We don't know where the thing's going to go. We don't know how strong it's going to be. But I will tell you this, based off, now obviously you can't just go off of like, sea surface temperatures and stuff like that, but it is a heavy contributing factor to activity. The waters out here is very warm, very, very warm here. We're 30, 31 Celsius. That's like upper 80s Fahrenheit for the people who don't know Celsius. So that's like, upper 80s. That's very warm water, very warm water. There's also other things that contribute to tropical formation. It's not just how hot the waters are. You got moisture, how much moisture is in our atmosphere. Very important role for getting those thunderstorms going and getting that storm, organized. And then, of course, you have what we call wind shear, which is basically just strong winds at certain levels of the atmosphere. If your winds are too strong, that can actually prevent storms from happening because it basically destabilizes their structure. And it really prevents them from going anywhere. So, those are the three main factors of, tropical development is, lack of wind shear, which is, good for the storm, bad for us. If you have strong winds in our atmosphere, going right over that storm, that's going to allow the storm to, destabilize and likely, prevent it from doing anything. But, and of course, moisture and stuff like that. But unfortunately, and I say this very much unfortunately, it does not seem like moisture is going to be an issue. It really does not seem like that. Now, if we take a look at let's see, precip and moisture, here we go, humidity. So as we, work our way back into the models here, you can see that there's two different colors. Now, there's just, I want to make this super simple. It's a very simple concept. So the brown is showing a dry atmosphere, showing that, throughout the atmosphere, it's relatively dry. The humidity is fairly low. Now, in this kind of bluish green color, this is where there is a lot of moisture. That is where we do have, a good amount of high humidity in the atmosphere. So obviously thunderstorms need a lot of humidity. We need a lot of moisture in the atmosphere to get those thunderstorms going. If you don't have moisture, well, you're not going to get any storms. So for example, these areas in the brown's likely not going to see much storm activity, while the areas here in the, the kind of greenish blue color, that's where, some of the activity is going to be, thunderstorm activity is going to be kind of bad. Now, like I mentioned, unfortunately, with this system, it seems like moisture is not going to be a problem whatsoever. As a matter of fact, there's actually going to be a really large abundance of moisture available to this storm's, overall being. That right there, like I mentioned, with the sea surface temperatures we were talking about, like upper 80s Fahrenheit, like 30, 31 Celsius, and plus, a lot of moisture in the atmosphere, and whenever it comes to like wind shear too, I mean we don't have any wind shear. As you can tell, we do have a strong jet. I believe that's actually the venting of this system here, partially. Bottom line is that right now the models don't really show much limiting factors with the storm here. So it seems like there's little to no wind shear that would destabilize that storm once it tracks into these these areas here. It seems like there is definitely going to be a good abundance of moisture. Now, personally, to me that's a little concerning, and that's what makes me believe that there might be some quick intensification with this storm at some point. Now, like I mentioned, I know this is still several days out, in which there is still a lot we definitely do not understand with the storm. But overall, given those future possibilities, this storm does have a shot at becoming something decent. And that's what I'm concerned about, of course. Let's see. What's up, Ma? Hope you're doing good. Let's see here. I'm going to get to some of these comments here. Johnny says, awesome job. Love it. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Appreciate it. What's up, SPC? Hope you're doing good. But, like I mentioned, to my folks, if you guys are just tuning in here, I do want to go ahead and say, first of all, there is a lot we don't know about this storm. What it really boils down to is we don't really know where this thing is going to go. We don't know how strong it's really going to be. But What I do want you guys to do, though, is, monitor the progression. Watch the storm for the next couple of days. As we get closer to the event, obviously we're going to learn more about it, and we're going to know more of what to expect the closer we get to it. Therefore, since there still is a lot of model hopping, the models were really trending east yesterday, showing the eastern Gulf being impacted, and now the models are trending a little bit more to the west, showing a bit, more of maybe the central and western Gulf being impacted. So we're, as you can see, we're kind of hopping all over the place here. With that being said, I do want you guys, if you live across the Gulf Coast, to watch it closely. Okay, the storm could be a problem in the Eastern Gulf, like I mentioned. It could be a problem in the Western Gulf. Like I said, that's what we don't know. That right now is what we don't know. And what also we don't know is, how strong it's going to be. Is it going to be a major hurricane, or is it going to be a hurricane or a tropical storm? Intensity, we're not too sure right now either. But like I mentioned, that is kind of where we're standing here overall. Let's see. Ashley says, thanks for being on. Oh, no problem. No problem. Glad to be here to help out. Like I mentioned, it's always good to be here for y'all. Like I mentioned, we'll always be here for you guys to help y'all out no matter what. Andrew, you're amazing. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's really sweet of you. East Coast says Mike. Unlikely, honestly. Models since the get-go have not really shown that storm going into the east, but we don't know. We really don't know. I mean, right now the possibilities are endless. I would say it's unlikely, though, for the storm to go up along the East Coast. At this point in time, I'd say it's likely going to go towards the Gulf. But with that being said, I mean, yeah, just keep on watching it for the next couple of days, of course. I'd say it has more of a chance of going in the Gulf than it does in the East, which, I really haven't seen many models even support that possibility. It seems like the models have been, mostly Eastern Gulf, and then lately more Western Gulf, so kind of trending further away. Do I think this will bring any impact to Tennessee? Like I said, it really boils down to, where this thing ends up, how strong it is, and, the size of the storm. Do I think it's possible? I mean, technically, yes, it's possible, but we don't know for sure. We don't know for sure. I mean, the storm could, go somewhere along the eastern side, or it could, go somewhere along the western side. And, right now there's so much uncertainty. But if it does become a concern, then, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. And, over the next several days, you guys know I'll be here for you. You guys know I'll be doing these live streams to help keep you guys weather aware. So, I don't really ask this much, but, if you guys could, maybe consider subscribing, leaving a like. That way it can help, spread the word out there. It would be much appreciated. And, it could definitely help out a lot of people if you guys could do that for me. And maybe even share this if you'd really like to go to extra step to help us out and help everybody out. That would be much appreciated. Anything brewing in the Atlantic? So we actually have the remain of, I almost said Ernesto. Gordon. So we have the remains of Gordon, which was that tropical system that was just kind of chilling in the water out here in the, mostly out there towards the MDR, the main area here of the central kind of Atlantic. The storm has basically died out. Gordon has died out, but they are talking about the possibility of the storm regaining itself. The remain of Gordon, could redevelop at some point. You can see it reform in a few days possible. They gave it a 50-50 shot at this point, overall formation. So through the next, 7 days, the next week, there's a 50% chance. Meanwhile, the next 48 hours, the next 2 days is a 20% chance. So we're unlikely to form in the next 2 days, while we're it's possible that we could form in the next week. But even then, if the storm does even if the storm does decide it wants to kick up, it's going to likely remain out to sea and won't be an issue. So That's not our concern. This is our concern. Like I mentioned, even though the probabilities are fairly low right now from the NHC, the reason that they're low is because there's still some uncertainty with the storm and the fact it's still several days out. But I can guarantee you guys, if we continue on this trend here, this number is going to go up quickly. I mean, this morning it was at 20%, now it's at 30. So we're trending upwards. The probability is going to continue to increase. Let's see. Yeah, I hope it won't target Houston either. That wouldn't be very good. That wouldn't be very well. Let's see here. Brent says, I got a question. Do I think Louisiana will get hit? We don't know. That's what I've been, we've been kind of saying here is that, is it possible? Yes. Is it likely at this point? No. I mean, like I said, we don't know. We really don't know where the thing's going to make landfall. And whenever it comes to it, the models are, all over the place. Like I said, yesterday and this morning, the models were trending this thing towards the Eastern Gulf. Meanwhile, now the models have a little bit more of a westerly trend here. And like I mentioned, the models are going to be hopping back and forth for a while. And that's why I said, I really want everybody along the Gulf Coast just to monitor it. There's no reason to go out right now and prepare for it. Nobody should be preparing for it because, we don't know where it's going to end up. But I want all of y'all's eyes on the tropics if you live in the Gulf Coast, ranging from coastal Florida to coastal Texas. I know that's a very big gap, but like I mentioned, we're still like 8 days away from the storm here. The storm's not even expected to start developing for another 4 or 5 days or so. So, there's still a lot of days to go through, and everything like that. Let's see here. Kathleen just donated $20 on our Cash App. Thank you so much, Kathleen. That's really sweet of you. I appreciate that very much. Thank you so much, Kathleen. Big shout out goes to you. Yeah, you seriously did not have to do that, but thank you so much. That really helps me out a lot. Thank you very, very much. That's very sweet of you, Kathleen. Let's see here. Let's see. Always hurricane area, be prepared. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Like I said, there's no reason to go out right now and buy everything in the store. Absolutely not. But like I said, just keep your eyes on the storm. If you live across the Gulf Coast, I mean that's basically all we can do right now. There's no way of being certain. Let's go back into models here. So we're going to pull up CMC. We're going to kick back over here to the Western Atlantic. So this is the latest model with the CMC here. This shows the storm right around, starting to develop here right around the late 22nd into the early 23rd. That's whenever, the CMC model suggests the storm starting to kick off here. That's whenever the models start to kind of, suggest that. Then, of course, once again, roughly, take this with a grain of salt, but the models show the thing going maybe between like the Yucatan Peninsula and Cuba, right around the 24th, roughly, and then tracking into the Gulf for like the 25th, 26th. At that point, like I said, that's where the uncertainty really becomes a big thing. But yeah, no, that's just an estimated time frame with the model here. Then of course, the GFS here. This one shows that storm kind of starting to kick off here as well, right around the 23rd or so, going between the Yucatan and the in Cuba here, right around the 25th, roughly, tracking into the Gulf for right around the 26th, maybe through the 27th. But like I mentioned, this model shows a heavy westerly movement compared to the previous models and the previous runs of the GFS here. Which this would, this track would have the storm out in the water longer, which would probably give it more time to pick up strength, which is what the GFS was kind of suggesting. But, don't let this intimidate you. Don't let this run intimidate you, because look at the previous run before it. Big difference. Big difference. I mean, that's just showing maybe like a, you know, probably a strong tropical storm, you know, or low end hurricane with the previous model run. Now the new one shows like a massive hurricane. So it's like, dude, it just goes to show you how different the models are right now. You know, and like I said, it just goes to show you the uncertainty. That is a literal a way of seeing and showing you guys the uncertainty here. Anyways, let's see here. Have to go, friends. Please stay safe. Let's see. Andrew, good night, mods chat. Thank you. You have a good night, my friend. Let's see here. James Spann showed something like that earlier. It says, don't believe the model hype yet. Yeah, no, absolutely not. He's right about that, of course. You know, it's still several days out. This right here, this is not for sure. Like I mentioned, is it likely that the storm is going to happen? Yes. I think there's a very good chance that this storm will happen. At this point in time, you know, we've had several days worth of a lot of, you know, model runs, and they've all been suggesting this system happening. Yes, I do think the storm will happen. Very good likelihood. But like I said, that's about all I can tell you right now. I mean, honestly. Other than that, I mean, you know, like I said, where the thing ends up, how strong it gets, that's a big question mark right now. That's a big question mark. Let's see. We're gonna hop back to the ensembles here, the GEPS ensembles, and like we mentioned, this is basically one model with a bunch of what we call members, which are like individual model runs here, pretty much. And each one of these members, well, first of all, let's actually look at the GEFS here. So as we approach our way into like the 25th, you can see a lot of that orange there. So that's the majority of those members showing that storm somewhere along the Western Caribbean. Then, of course, as we, you know, start to go further down in time, you notice how we have these little like orange balls here. Those are some of those individual members suggesting, you know, for example, this member shows the storm, you know, over here. And meanwhile, another member shows it down by Cuba. Another, you know, you can see there's a good little grouping here towards Florida, but the main grouping is still between the Yucatan Peninsula as well as the, you know, the western side of Cuba. And then you got that one little outcast that shows it on the east side. Like I said, as of now, I don't think that's even, you know, a good possibility of the thing going in the east. No, this thing is likely going to go in the Gulf. And then, of course, you know, as we work our way down further, you can see that, you know, once we approach right around the 27th, 28th here, some of the members show the thing in the western Gulf. Some of them show it, you know, near like Louisiana. And the majority of it still, according to this run, you know, that happened this evening, still shows it in the eastern Gulf. But not all the models suggest that. Not all the models suggest that. Let's see here. And then, of course, we have the GEPS ensembles here, which you can see the majority of those members showing, you know, that system here in the Western Caribbean, towards the Yucatan and towards, you know, Cuba. This is for right around the 24th. And then, of course, you can see still the main mass, the main majority still in the eastern portion of the Gulf here, and of course, you know, another little area here in the Western Gulf that's possible too. So, you know, there's a lot of uncertainty, and you can see just how much that orange bubble spreads once we get into the Gulf. That's the big question mark. That's the big question mark. Anthony, you know, man, I don't think this will be a nothing storm, honestly. I do believe that this storm will certainly have some form of impact. I mean, given the fact that we've seen continuous model agreement for the last several days, or I should say support for the system. Agreement on where it goes, what it does, that's what we don't know, but you know, there's no reason to call it a nothing burger right now, because that is just an unrealistic take. very unrealistic take. You know, there is a shot that this thing could be a decent storm. Is there a shot this thing could be, you know, a low-end storm? Maybe. But, you know, with the latest guidance, the latest model runs and stuff like that, it suggests, you know, a decent storm going into Gulf here. Gordon will be a fish storm. Yeah, Gordon's just been out there in the central Atlantic there. Possibility, you know, like I mentioned, we mentioned a few minutes ago, there's a chance of Gordon redeveloping into the central Atlantic, but even if it did, that would mean nothing for anybody really, other than the fish that live out here. Even then, they're under the water, so they won't even be really impacted. So really not an issue. Now this one would be a nothing storm, but like I mentioned, this guy here, this is the one that we're a little concerned about. Like I mentioned, you know, probability is 30% right now. That probability is only going to increase. The reason why it's so low is, like I said, the Hurricane Center. You know, this is still a system that's several days away from developing. That's why the probability is pretty low right now. You know, it has increased though. You know, since this morning, it went from a 20 to a 30%. And honestly, I would not be surprised. Like I said, I would definitely not be surprised if that probability goes up tomorrow morning. I mean, just, you know, like I said, just likely going to continue to increase in that probability, of course. Now, everybody loves the icon, right? I don't know what everybody's deal is with loving the icon model, but by the way, people wondering the icon, the latest run we got shows it kind of going over the Yucatan here. I will say there's not a lot of models that show it going over the Yucatan right now. So, you know, like I said, that's limited support right now. That's definitely some limited support. But yeah, so you know, we'll continue watching like the icon and stuff like that. You know, whenever the model, once we get closer, you know, we'll start having more info and stuff like that come through. Yeah, let's not get political in this chat. Look, I understand there's a lot of politics going on right now, but let's keep it civil. Let's not bring up politics here. It does nothing but divide people, okay? You know, we're here to come together to give you guys updates on the weather. There's no reason to bring in any of that nonsense, okay? I want to be fair with you guys. I want to be civil. We don't need that talk in here. But anyways, let's hop on over here to, let's see, we're going to hop back over here to the other one here. The other model, we have the GDPS. The GDPS here. Like I mentioned, this is the Canadian, the latest Canadian long range. I always consider this model as like the Canadians wannabe GFS model. It's the long range Canadian model. You know, it's a long range Canadian model. Now the GDPS, you know, this is the latest run we got. It's the 12 Zulu. Which this was here from basically late this morning, this afternoon here. Whenever it comes to it, you know, we do have ourselves the latest GDPS model suggesting the storm, you know, there towards maybe the east central Gulf here. The big thing is that it did trend more to the west. If we go to yesterday's run, basically yesterday evening's run, you can see that the storm was a little bit further to the east here, showing that storm maybe there towards like the eastern Gulf, towards the you know, the Big Bend of Florida there. In the latest model run, like we mentioned, 12 Zulu here shows it, as you can see, much further to the west, and shows it getting more near like the Panhandle, of course. Now, like I mentioned, don't worry about that right now. There's still a shot that the storm won't even impact this area, okay? You know, like I mentioned to the new people just joining here, what I want you guys to do, what I want you guys to be looking out for, if you live along the Gulf Coast, you know, just in general. So, for example, if you live across the the coast of Texas, coast of Louisiana, coast of Mississippi, Alabama, and coast of Florida, the whole Gulf Coast here should be watching the storm, of course. But like I said, there's a lot we don't know about it. There's a chance the storm could, hypothetically go to the east. There's also a chance it could hypothetically go to the west. Where the thing's going to make landfall, that we don't know. That's what we don't know. But like we mentioned, since we're so far out, the uncertainty is high with the storm here. And that goes the same for the intensity too. That goes to the, that also regards the intensity, how strong the storm is going to be. That is heavily unknown right now. How strong it's going to get, where it's going to end up and stuff like that. Now, I will say this. I will say this. The way the models are suggesting the storm here, first of all, like we mentioned with the observations and stuff like that, we got really warm sea surface temperatures out there. Well, remember, that's not the only thing that contributes to a strong storm, though. Okay? So I want you guys to remember that. It's not just up to the ocean temperatures. I know that's a big misunderstanding for some people who just think, hey, the water's warm, therefore strong storm. That's not true. But I will tell you, though, is the water warm enough? Absolutely. The water is very warm out here. I mean, like I said, we're talking upper 80s Fahrenheit, which is like 30, 31 Celsius. That is like really, really warm water for tropical system here. So, yes, that alone, perfect for the tropical system. But like I mentioned, there's two really other main things we look at. The first one, being wind shear. Is there a lot of strong winds in the atmosphere? For example, if the storm was trying to develop where you have a jet stream going right over it, that would basically destabilize the storm, kind of ruin its structure that is trying to organize itself, preventing the storm from happening. So what you want is no winds, little to no winds in the atmosphere across all elevations. Remember, the atmosphere is kind of like a pancake in a way. There's different layers, and some layers are faster winds than others. So we got to really look at a vertical perspective of the winds across the lower and the upper atmosphere. Of course, mid as well, but lower to the upper atmosphere. So that's another thing. Now the models, they don't really suggest. They really do not suggest, really strong wind shear. We are watching a frontal system that will likely steer the storm at some point. The models seem to have been kind of slowing down with that cold front. There's actually a bit of a cold front coming through. The latest models kind of show that cold front being slightly delayed, which that's why the models are suggesting it going a little further west. If that cold front is, further ahead of, where the models are at now, that would likely probably steer it back into the east side. Like I said, we're going to be hopping back and forth for a while now, both in the eastern Gulf and, the western Gulf. We're going to be hopping back and forth for probably a couple days, to be honest with you. But anyways, like I said, once again, what it comes down to is that wind shear, is also a thing here that we need to watch. But, the models, depending on what model you look at, they really all do not show much wind shear. We have the upper level venting that vents clockwise from these tropical systems. That's that. So overall, wind shear doesn't seem like an issue for the storm as of now. And the last thing really, one of the last things here is moisture. If you don't got any moisture in the atmosphere, you're not going to get any thunderstorms. And those thunderstorms is what organizes the storm into what it is. So if you don't have any thunderstorms convecting, well, you're not going to get any storm. You need thunderstorms to happen for a tropical cyclone to sustain itself for one, but also to start off. You need a group of a lot of heavy thunderstorms. And if you're in the dry air here, represented in like the brown, showing, drier air, you wouldn't really get thunderstorms in that environment. Meanwhile, you would down here towards like the, the greenish blue color, which that is kind of showing that there is a lot of moisture in the atmosphere. Therefore, the conditions would likely convect thunderstorms, just given the fact that we have, that activity. So what it boils down to, the models here is, what it really boils down to is the models here show a really good abundance of moisture. There is a lot of moisture in the atmosphere here, that's tracking from the Caribbean that will track into the Gulf. Moisture does not seem to be an issue for the beginning and middle portion of its life, at least. And like we mentioned, the wind shear does not seem to really be an issue either. Plus, with those temperatures being fairly warm, that's what gives me a concern of the possibility of this thing becoming a pretty decent system here. So, let's see. Michael, nothing to be scared about, man. Like we mentioned, this is really far still. I mean, we're still like 8 days away, and the storm's not even expected to really start developing until like the 23rd. So we still got about like 4 days left, before the storm even starts to kind of brew here in the Western Gulf, the Western Caribbean. And then, of course, after that, it's going to be a couple more days before it kind of tracks towards the Gulf there. So, it's, there's still a lot of time before the storm gets here. There still is a heck of a lot of time and a lot of changes that could occur, by the time we get to the point here. So just know that. Just know that there's, anything is possible right now, and that there's a lot of things that could change, okay? Let's see here. Princess says, you think it's going to hit Florida? Nah, we don't know yet. We really don't know yet. It's not really a known thing. Like we mentioned, I mean, the models were, yes, trending towards Florida for the last couple of days, as you can tell. But the new trend is the storm going, further to the west here. Not just by GFS, but also models like the CMC. Now, here's basically yesterday's run. The CMC was showing the system out there by Florida. And the latest run, which is the 12 Zulu, as you can see, has it a little more to the west. So it's not only the GFS that suggested that. Also the GDPS model, the Canadian long range here too, suggested the same thing. So basically, from yesterday evening, it showed that storm going up there, kind of there towards the the Big Bend there, and of course here with the 12 Zulu. Kind of has it doing the same thing, out there towards like the western side. So yeah, like I mentioned, we don't know if this thing is going to be going to Texas or if it's going to be going to Florida. That's, like I mentioned, what it really boils down to, guys, is that if you live along the Gulf Coast, if you're near the Gulf Coast here, just watch it. That's all we can do right now. Is just sit back. Just watch it for the next couple days, see what it does, see what the models agree on, and once the models start to really kind of pin the area and the strength down, then that's whenever we could start saying, okay, we need to start preparing. But right now, there is no, there's no reason to go out, buy out all the stores, buy all the water, nothing like that. No, we don't need to do that right now. But like we mentioned, though, Texas coast, Louisiana coast, Mississippi, Alabama coast, Florida's coast, just watch, okay? Just watch. Once again, right now, there's no need to go buy out everything. And like I said, once we start to pinpoint where the thing is going to go, then that's when we'll start making those preparations. I mean, like we mentioned, we're still a good, 7+ days away before impact potentially. So we're still, a good week away. I mean, we're still, quite a ways away. And then, like we mentioned, the storm's expected to start brewing in the western, in the Western Caribbean, right around the 23rd, roughly. That's when the models are, suggesting the storm starting to start gaining traction and start kicking off. And that's still several days itself. I mean, that's what I mean. Today's we're almost at the 19th, we could say at this point. That's there for like the 22nd, 23rd. So that's still a good, like, what, 3, 4, 5 days? I mean, that's still several days away before the storm even starts to develop, yet alone develop, then track into the Gulf. I mean, that's another couple of days. I mean, so, like I mentioned, there's still a lot of unknowns. Let's see. Rachel says, "Hey, Andrew, thanks for the live stream. Really appreciate the information." No problem. No problem. Glad to help out you guys. Of course. Like I said, we'll be here for you. And then, of course, for the people wondering about the Euro, the ECMWF here, the Euro, as always, Euro kind of underestimates, in my opinion. Like the other hurricanes we've had, it seems like the Euro has been kind of underestimating them. But the model does suggest that low going into the western, the western Gulf here. Like I said, I wouldn't even. I think Euro's underdoing this severely. To be honest with you, it's been kind of doing that for a bit this year. Not gonna lie. Of course, the 18 Zulu, the latest one, only goes out 90 hours, which is only a couple days. Which, yeah, we don't have any guidance on the latest one. So Euro right now is not really reliable. Not that any model is reliable right now, but at least the other models are suggesting that system existence pretty much, while the Euro just doesn't really take much to it. Let's see here. See, middle cloud fraction on the GFS model, less than 10 days look terrifying. The hurricane with the eye could cover the whole Gulf. Well, Ellie, the thing is, it depends on what run you look at. Like, for example, we go to the 12 Zulu run from this morning here. So from this morning here, the model shows it in the eastern, like we mentioned, the eastern Gulf overall. And, whenever it comes to, I don't think the infrared goes out. Yeah, the infrared doesn't go out that far. But let's hop back over to, we're going to pull up precipitable water here. So yeah, that's the new one. And the previous model has it, much weaker. 12 Zulu showing it much weaker in the Eastern Gulf. Now the latest one shows it much stronger in the Western Gulf. So it's like, what a total polar opposite, man. What a total polar opposite. Let's see. Eyes as big as the Gulf, only in Jupiter. Yeah, no, that's not happening. Let's see here. What category is the GFS showing? Well, here's the thing. The last model run of the GFS shows maybe a lower Cat 1 upper tropical storm. And the new GFS shows like Category 3, Cat 4, or even higher. I mean, the latest GFS, let's just say, is a little aggressive. While the previous GFS model was, first of all, way off. A huge difference in where it's at. I mean, look at this. Look at the difference. So this was the run from earlier this morning. This is the run now. See how much distance we've covered? Yeah, absolutely a complete different story. Like we mentioned, though, this is going to likely hop back and forth. Like I said, likely hop back and forth between the Eastern Gulf and the Western Gulf. I mean, like I mentioned, it's just it's too early to tell. Too early to tell. Let's see. But anyways, all right, y'all. We're probably gonna head off here pretty soon. We've been live actually well over an hour now. Been live a little bit longer than I thought I would. But hey guys, if you guys could, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and most importantly, if you guys could share this. Even if you don't have any family out here, maybe your, family members know people in the area, along the Gulf Coast that, should monitor the storm. The more we get this word out here, guys, the more potential, people we can help out, and, who knows, ultimately, could help save lives. We've helped save lives on the channel. I'm very thankful to say that. There's been a couple instances where, this information has indeed saved people's lives. And you guys can help make that a reality by sharing this. And, who knows, you guys could play a very important role in this. So if you guys could just, share it to your timeline, your Facebook wall, whatever. Tell them to subscribe and, turn on post notifications. That way everybody can be weather aware and everybody can be safe out there, okay? And so, like I said, just a little bit of a summary for the people just joining. It's too early to tell. I mean, the models did a massive westerly movement. The previous runs were showing the Eastern Gulf. Now the latest model showed the Western Gulf. It's going to do that for a little bit, probably. We're going to be seeing this thing probably hop back and forth for the next couple days. And like I said, we don't know the strength. We don't know the track. But I want everybody's attention along the Gulf Coast to just keep an eye on it. Stay tuned. Watch out for the next couple of days. And, what happens. And, whenever we start getting really solid traction, where the thing's going to go, then that's when we'll start telling you guys to prepare. Like I said, right now, there's nobody should be preparing for the storm yet because we don't know where it's going to go. Like I said, this thing hypothetically could be a Florida storm or it could hypothetically be a Texas storm or in between. Like I said, there's no reason for, say, somebody in Florida to prepare for this whenever there's a possibility still of it going to Texas or somewhere else. Like I mentioned, it's just there's no reason to do that. But once we get closer, to the time being, once we get closer to the storm actually being within reasonable time frame, that is whenever we need to start preparing. Okay, so that's still going to be a couple days though, overall. But alrighty, everybody. Well, that's going to wrap it up for tonight here, guys. Once again, I appreciate y'all for joining us. Thank you for the people with the super chats and stuff like that. I really appreciate that. It helps me out a lot, guys. Thank you for your support. Helps keep our weather programs up and running. And y'all's support directly helps us out. Also, thank you for the people who donated on Cash App. Kathleen today donating on our Cash App. Thank you so much, Kathleen. I appreciate that. Like I said, it really helps us out, guys. So thank you for the people who have donated. Obviously, thank you to everybody, just for hanging out, just for joining, and, most importantly, being weather aware. That's what we're here for, is to help keep you guys prepared and up to date. But alrighty, everybody, we'll be live tomorrow morning. Hope you guys have a great night. If I don't see you tomorrow morning, have a great day at school, work, whatever you're doing tomorrow, and then we'll do another live stream tomorrow evening as well. Okay? Alright, everybody, you guys take care. Have a wonderful night, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Peace out, my friends. Catch you in the next one.